Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Finance and Corporate Committee agenda, 8th of December. So we'll get underway with apologies, and I have apologies from Hazel, Jim and Bronwyn. And just touching on Bronwyn, she just wanted everyone to know that, yes, she's had a very busy time after her appointment, which was, while not exactly unexpected, she wasn't able to schedule things in as she would have liked. But that will be taken care of next year, and we can see her continued presence here. So no other apologies. Thanks, Elwyn, and thanks, Phil. All in favour? Aye. Contrary, no. It's carried. Disclosure of members' interests.
Yep.
Phil and Roger, item 6, I guess.
6.
Thank you.
And I've got to leave at 3:30.
And 3:30. Okay. Thanks, Phil.
Item in public excluded about the Pirongia forestry.
Okay. Thanks, Claire. Liz, item 6. Thanks, Liz. Yeah. No, we will be all right. So, so you've got a note of those then? Do we need a resolution for that to disclose?
No, I think
we're all good.
not conflicts of interest. They just need to be recorded.
Just noted. Thank you. Okay, late items. There being none, we'll move to confirmation of order of the meeting. Thank you, Graham. And second, thanks, Phil. All in favour? Aye. Contrary, no. And it's carried. Confirmation of the minutes. So we're looking at pages, thank you, 8 and 9, 10, 11, and that would be it. Thank you, Lou and Claire. Thank you. All in favour that we have a true and correct record, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. It's carried. Okay, item 6. Now, yes, so I'm going to have 3 people leave the room, I believe. Yes. Thanks, people.
We will remember to come and collect you.
Yes, we will.
No, couldn't possibly.
Main thing is we still have a quorum, so that's good. So Ken, are you going to do
Yes, I certainly can. So look, through the chair, I'll just quickly introduce this report, a very comprehensive report put together by Bev, who's sitting over the back there, and who we'll invite to speak a little later. But look, she's put through a report on the basis of the submissions that we have received in regard to establishing a trust to manage the Cambridge Town Hall. Now, those submissions were all in support of the proposal. So so it was quite a conclusive response from the submission process. And I guess on the basis of that, Bev's recommendation does go on to recommend the establishment of the trust. There is a draft trust deed that you would have noticed that's attached. That draft trust deed does still need some legal review, so it may change, but at least that gives an indication of where we were looking to go on that. and then in the final part of the recommendation, where Bev is actually even suggesting an appointment panel in terms of the selection of new trustees. So looking to establish and enable a panel to appoint trustees. But of course, this still requires obviously your decision making in terms of whether we do go ahead with the trust or not. So in that regard, I suggest to the chair we do have 3 submitters who have asked to be heard to be able to speak to their submissions. So those 3 are Antanas Prakuta, Jeremy Mail, and Miff McDiarmid. Also, all 3 of them are at the back of the room. So so I do suggest to the chair that the 3 of them come up in the order that they are listed in the agenda. They all have a few minutes to speak if if you want to question, then you can question, and then we'll obviously hand over to Bev to present the report.
Thanks, Ken. So, Antanas, if you would like to, and just the blue button on the, will set your microphone going. Welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Antanas Prasuta. I'm a resident of Cambridge. I'm also an architect, and I practice with I own Power Architects in Hamilton. I've been part of the Cambridge Town Hall Vision Group for a number of years. That was established in 2014, really with the purpose of, I suppose, making sure that the Cambridge Town Hall is relevant into the future. We know that it was built back in 1909 when the population of Cambridge is 900 people. Cambridge is now around 19,000 people. Culture and society have changed a little bit since then. Obviously, over the last 100 years, we've seen the town hall used for a variety of things. In the old days, when they had hunt balls and civic receptions and debutante balls and crazy things like that. We don't have those things anymore, so it's about trying to make the town hall, which is a focus of the Cambridge community, a much loved focus of the Cambridge community, relevant into the future. The Cambridge Town Hall Vision Group had Councillor Sue Milner, or former Councillor Sue Milner, Liz Stolwick, David Cooney, Rob Feist, a number of Cambridge personalities who, I think like many people in Cambridge, are very passionate about the town hall and are wanting to see it thrive and be part of a vital part of the community into the future. I suppose the question is, why do we think a trust is appropriate? I mean, obviously the town hall has been looked after by the council, it's owned by the council for many years, but it really has been a caretaker role. It's not been a proactive activator of the town hall for the community. And we've seen it respond to demand, so for weddings and dances and various bits and pieces, but you know, obviously for the future, we think it needs to be far more active as part of the Cambridge community. And some really good models we have locally. We've obviously got what you have with the Livingston Pool is operated by a trust that seems to work effectively for the community. In Hamilton, we have both the Meteor Theatre and the Clarence Street Theatre, similarly passed over to two different trusts by Hamilton City Council to activate those places, and both of those venues have been incredibly successful since. Council continues to contribute and own the buildings and the property, but those two trusts work really hard to make that those venues relevant for the community, both the performing community, but also the audience and the broader community. I think one thing that's been really, really interesting over the last 9 months is COVID-19. I think it's really changed our society. It's changed the world. So we know that we're far more connected, but we also realise that that connection really happens within the local community. We see that in Cambridge Market Day on Saturday mornings, people getting in touch with each other, enjoying each other's company. And we know also that we're going to be seeing a lot more of New Zealand because getting overseas is really hard. So we're really activating things within the New Zealand mandate, if you like. And the Cambridge Town Hall can be a really important part of that. I mean, Cambridge is growing fantastically, and I think the time is right to look at the idea of a trust, which has a specific mandate to activate the town hall in a very, very proactive way. I anticipate that trust would have obviously people who are passionate about the town hall, about the Cambridge community, and what can be done with the town hall. And who knows what that will be, but it's not going to be just letting it sit the way it has for the last 100 years. It's been really, really good for that time. I remember it as a 5-year-old going to Punch and Judy shows there. They're probably out of fashion now. Going to pantomimes, going to balls there. I still go to Scottish Country dancing balls there. I love the place, very much part of my upbringing and my current life, and I'd like to see it being a larger part of everybody else's life in the Cambridge community. Those are my thoughts.
Well, thank you very much for that, and you know, a lot of comments. I think probably get quite a bit of agreement around this table. So I'll ask for questions. Claire.
Thanks, Antanas. Good to see you here. You use as an example, you know, the Hamilton City theatres. Like, would you say that what we're proposing, the way it's set up here for Cambridge, is following that model? Or is there anything else you'd like us to be looking at, you know, to make sure it's a success?
As I understand it, the proposed draft trust based on the trust that we have in place with the pool, the operating pool, and so I think you're quite likely that if I look through that draft trust, I put it undoubtedly with the community with theatre and with Paris Street Theatre, those assets do require money.
And Tanis, could you just press that? Thanks.
Yeah, sorry. Those assets do require money, and so those trusts are able to go to community granting organisations and the like to get funds for that. But those are huge assets, as you know, with any, as council knows, buildings cost a truckload of money to look after and to enhance. And I do foresee that the Cambridge Town Hall will require enhancement to make it relevant into the future. So I think. Obviously, Hamilton City Council is putting money towards the Momentum Theatre, and it's going to the regional theatre in Hamilton, and I imagine they'll be contributing to that on an ongoing basis, not necessarily for the capital works, but for other bits and pieces. I don't know that. That's what I anticipate.
Yeah, so through the chair, I'd just like to confirm to Antana, so the trustee, the draft trustee we've got on the agenda today for the proposed new trust is very, very much based on the Waipaha Community Facilities Trustee that I know you have seen. So yeah.
Lou.
First, I'd like to thank you very much for your report. That was really good. And we're losing our district halls or our town halls all over the country. We used to have one here, of course, but that's well gone now. The big thing is that you'd have to divide your finances between what's going to be maintenance and getting a buy-in by the general community, because without getting that buy-in and support, you won't be a success. And you've got to actually create events to have there and really identify that with your local community. And I think that means two tiers of funding, as I say, the actual maintenance fund, which is vital for a hall of that age, but also a promotional fund, which you'd have to work with. So look, I take my hat off to what you said, and I really agree with what you have, and I hope that you're successful. I really do. Thank you.
Can I comment to that? So I totally agree with what you're saying. There are definitely two aspects to it. One of them is actually about the venue itself and the building. The other component is actually the activation of that, and that does mean promotions of events across the board of different sorts. So there could be, chamber concerts, there could be pop concerts, there could be whatever a community requires. And I agree there are two different aspects to that, two different sets of funding, if you like, as with any business or organisation.
That's great. Thank you very much. Right, so Jeremy.
All right, here we go. Kia ora, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'd like to firstly start off by supporting everything that Antanas has said. I think that's really, really vital. We know that engaging with arts and creativity in everyday lives allows people to kind of stop relying on what has been and start imagining what might be. We can start imagining a beautiful, more connected, more inspiring world. And by having a space that is activated by the community and enhanced and operated by the community, but still maintains the support of council for running things like the core infrastructure, supporting the building, you enable a thing that happens. I think one of the really important things for us to recognize is that creativity is vital to a thriving humanity. It's essential. It encourages us to think innovatively, for us to play, and for us to support our own individual well-being as well as the well-being of our community. And so when we have a space that can be utilize the community voice and can utilize those people who are activators to really drive a sense of community and a sense of activity within a space, but also have robust and long-lasting support from a council to ensure that the building itself is maintained with a vision into the future, because that cost is is difficult. And so you want to make the cost of utilizing the space as cheap as possible so that the communities can feel like they have a sense of ownership and can feel like they can forge their own identity for themselves, for their children, and into the future. So really it's about having that mix between that community-led approach alongside that council support, realizing that civic amenities, spaces for arts, culture and creativity are not businesses. They are tools for well-being. They're tools for investment in people. And so a theatre space very rarely makes enough money to cover the cost of running a theatre. That's the nature of it. And particularly the smaller the city, the harder it is for that to work. So having a real clear vision for supporting that activity happening in your local community is what's going to make this trust work. And that's really exciting for what that means for Cambridge and for Waipa, as well as how that sets a precedent for how things can move forward in the wider Waikato region. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks very much for that. Again, questions? I think that's quite clear and we know where you stand on it. So yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. Pleasure. Thank you.
And Myth, welcome. A stranger like Jeremy I should say too, this meeting is being live streamed. And so for people who are streaming in, the microphone needs to be on for them to hear. So cheers.
Hello, so I'm Myth from Destination Cambridge, and our role at the moment is in managing the hire of the town hall on behalf of the council. So we have that interest in the town hall, but also we are locals that recognise the town hall for the venue that it is and the potential that it has got, and hopefully speaking on behalf of the community a little bit what they want to see with the town hall. So I've been with Destination Cambridge for 2.5 years. So when we were looking at this, we drew on some of the longer term staff that have more knowledge in and around the town hall in our previous management, and also some of our reports and documentation over the years. Our interest lies in at least maintaining the town hall to an acceptable level. And we have struggled to gain traction over the last few years to see that happen with the council, and no disrespect, but there'll be reasons behind that, I'm sure, but we've struggled to get some basic repairs and maintenance done to the point where there are some rooms that we're not terribly comfortable in hiring out. Not that it's our decision, but yeah, they're just not up to scratch. So I guess what we want to see, what we'd like to see happen, and what we think the trust might enable is at least those basic repairs and maintenance, and hopefully some future potential with the town hall and bringing it back to its former glory and seeing it more highly utilised. We feel like we've done a pretty thorough and professional job over the last few years when it comes to the hire of the town hall and communicating with council. And on a note about the modernisation, it is an old building. It does need a lot of work, but there are some small things that could be done fairly rapidly to help with that and increase its use with the likes of Wi-Fi. So we've arranged Wi-Fi to go into the town hall, as far as into the town hall, so getting that established for users would be benefit. Just an example, and also facilitating the liquor license with the town hall, trying to get that across the line, which is a major hurdle for hirers. So we feel like we're in a position to help with understanding what the needs of the hirers are, and to therefore ensure that it gets further utilised in the future. And yeah, just that it becomes that social hub of the CBD again. At the moment, we're probably turning away more new hirers than what we are signing up because of the state of the town hall and its current facilities. We would like to have seen the town hall cared for and maintained by council over the years, and money spent on the asset for the benefit of wider Cambridge. But as that hasn't happened, we feel that a trust is the body that will be best to go forward and can source some of that private funding as well, because it is going to need an awful lot of money over time. But I do think you recreate what's needed and the demand will come. So the promotion piece of it will actually become a fairly easy job because of its location, because of the beauty of it and its setting and its accessibility for hires. We were a little bit mindful about the continuation of people and knowledge around the town hall. So in the 2.5 years that I've been with Destination Cambridge, we've had 4 different managers. And so each time that's a little bit of re-education and coming up to speed on all the tiny nuances around the town hall. So there's lots of nooks and crannies, and I don't know them all, but Rachel does, who's worked there for 15 years. So she's kind of our walking encyclopedia with the town hall. So just for progression and speed and continuation of that knowledge, we feel that we're in a good position to help out the trust. We've also made some suggestions in and around things for the trust, which are in my submission, which you can read, just around prioritising basic repairs, getting that building expertise on the trust, and more rigorous inspections around health and safety for parts of the building that can be affected. For example, the Edwardian ceiling that collapsed during COVID could have been a real issue if it was in use. And we're not the experts in that field at all, but yeah. Yeah, so I don't want to come across as a bit of a whinge, but that's just sort of stating our observations of what we've seen. I did want to point out that over the last several months, we've actually made some really good progress with the property team on our little list of repairs and maintenance. So that's been hugely appreciated. But yeah, as I said, our interests lie with ensuring that the future of the town hall is that central focus point, that it is modernised where it can be, and that it's safe and that it's well utilised, and we welcome changes that would see it become that sought after venue that we all desire, and the inside matches the outside.
Great. Mike.
Yeah, look, thanks to Antanas and Jeremy and Miff. All made some really good points. Antanas, of course, has got the real history and the nostalgia of growing up with that building. And Jeremy, around that whole arts and culture and it being the sort of a centre, of our town, it really is can be the hub of our town, not just externally by the look of it, which it probably is now, but in reality, which it isn't at the moment, which I guess Miff is what you're alluding to. There's traditionally over recently has been more wrong with it than right with it in terms of being a useful space. So I think it's this trust is a great opportunity to get this thing back to its former glory, but really make it a key part of Cambridge and its surrounds. You'll bring in other people as well. And the exciting thing, I think Antanas alluded to it as well, is that who knows what this thing will develop into. And I guess that's where your team and expertise, and that trust will come into play, and that it might get used for a whole bunch of things that it may have got used years ago and have been long forgotten. So looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Bev, if you'd like to come and add anything you'd like to that, and then we'll subject you to questions potentially.
Thank you, everybody. You've seen me a few times before on this topic, and Ken, I think, provided a really satisfactory introduction to the report that you have in front of you. And you've actually had 3 submitters who have each come from slightly different angles that have worked in really well together, and I think covered off all of the main points that you would be wanting to think about. So what you have in the report from me moving forward is a draft trust deed. It does need reviewing by a lawyer, and there's a suggestion for a way of handling that in terms of approving it beyond this committee, and a suggested process and timeline for appointing the founding trustees. The deed can't be registered until those founding trustees are in place, and at that point, so the trust would be registered, and then charities status applied for also. So I'm really happy to answer any questions about the deed or about the whole possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bev. Look, it looks really great. I'm really pleased to see the work that's been put into it. The question I had was actually, we only got 11 submissions. which I thought was a bit light. Yeah, what are your comments on that?
So it was well publicised. There was good coverage in the local newspapers, and I certainly had, because my name was in one of the articles at least, I certainly had people talk with me about it. So I don't think it's for lack of the news getting out there. Ken and I met with Cambridge Community Board. There was strong support around that table when we talked with them. We also met with Destination Cambridge because it's, you know, of such significance for them. I have not heard a comment again of any kind. So whether it's always hard to know, but whether the number of submissions reflects a general acceptance that this is a good way to go. Those councillors who live in Cambridge may know more, may have heard more.
So through the chair, Councillor Simpy, I recollect, although we are talking 7 or 8 years ago now, but I vaguely recollect that that when we went out to the community with a proposal for the Waipaha Community Facilities Trust, which of course is a very similar situation, but obviously involving the aquatic facility management, I'm pretty sure we got a similar number of submissions at that point. Although in that case actually there were some pros and there were some for and some against, but I think it was a similar number. So these sorts of consultation exercises sometimes actually don't attract a lot of a lot of interest. I guess we just need to work with what we've got. But as Bev said, it was through through no lack of publicity. We did certainly have media releases. It was certainly high profile on the website, etc. So
can I just perhaps add another point, which when I reflect on it, I think that it's a well-established model now, the idea of a community trust that works alongside a council for something where you really want strong community engagement and activation. You know, that's 10 years ago, that was quite new. But now I think there are enough models around the country and enough thinking about it that it's a reasonably well-accepted model.
Bruce.
And Bev, how do you see the number of trustees required to tackle this?
So the Community Facilities Trust deed has 4 to 6 in terms of numbers of trustees. And my view is that 4 was too small. And so I've recommended 6 to 8. And it's always that balance of enough trustees and not too many. So you want an organisation that can come together and provide community leadership. You also want a good range of skills across the people in the trust, particularly in this case where you're looking at a major capital project and also a new operating model, and that kind of involving the community in both aspects of that will require quite a bit of commitment, passion and energy and some considerable skills, I think.
Thank you for your report. It was really, really well received, and I think it's a great positive for the Cambridge call. Just one thing, having operated a few of these trusts, one of the things is the ability to co-opt, because you always have the ability in these sort of things to co-opt people with the expertise you need if you have to do them. Because I think things like public relations and things like this and promotions are an expertise field, just as finances and all the rest are. Do you envisage the district council actually having a seat on this as a permanent seat, or sitting on, so you have a direct line of communication or not?
My view is that the trust needs to have its own independence, but clearly will have a really strong relationship with council, and I've actually recommended an MOU around the capital project. There'll also be a lease agreement in place and a service level agreement in place as well. Those things set the way we're going to work together between council and the trust. In terms of co-opting for the other kinds of positions that you talked about, clearly the trust will need some staff, and the trust would be looking to ensure that it has those kind of practical management skills in the trust in the staff that it has.
Just through the chair, so Councillor Brown, the trustee that's in front of you actually deliberately excludes any sitting councillor of Waipaha District Council or any staff member of Waipaha District Council being a trustee, and that was exactly the same for the Waipaha Community Facilities Trust. We've used the same provision.
Okay. Looks like we've got Mike here.
Just on just a clarifying question then. So how does Destination, if the trust employs its own staff, will Destination Cambridge sort of take a step out? Like what the staff are there to?
So for example, to manage a, and I use the term manage in a careful way because council will be involved, but a very large capital project, for example, would need significant fundraising. Somebody needs to administer the trust. I'm not imagining, you know, there's a big staff team there, but, and obviously the trust will work through what its relationship with Destination Cambridge is. Yeah.
Yeah, probably quite a close one, but that's for the
that's
trust
right.
to
That's right.
establish. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, so as has been mentioned, we had 11 submissions, all in favour, and lots of very practical and useful comments as well. So we have recommendation on pages 12 and 13, A through E, which includes, I've got a mover and a seconder by the look of it, mover Mike and seconder Lou. So I'll just cut my comment short at that point and put the motion. So all in favour? Contrary? That is carried. Thank you, Bev. And
Thank you,
well done.
everybody.
Yes.
Pleasure. Thank you.
That's great. So we better invite
Yes.
our
Perhaps maybe for the tune for a little or two.
Yeah.
Well, while they come back.
yeah. Yes, we're just adjourning for a moment while our councillors return. And thank you very much, Jeremy and Tana Smith. Yeah, Bev, brilliant.
is on the way in, Lucy.
Might have lost Philip by the
Oh,
They'll turn up shortly.
oh, okay. Where did
He's
it?
just to take a couple of calls.
Oh, okay. Couple of property deals to do. You can come up. As come up.
Yeah, well, we might as well carry on, don't you think? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we can do. Yes, yeah. We've still got a quorum, so and Liz will be in anyway.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting back to order and move on to item 7. So, health and safety 4-month report. Welcome, Steph and Ev. Yeah, that's the floor is yours.
Kia ora, everyone. Yes, well, as always, it's with absolute pleasure that we provide you with our health and safety report, taking into consideration the period July to October inclusive. So this is all about us catching up post-COVID and trying to get back on track with regards to our business plan. And also, as a result, I think of COVID, we really started to focus on well-being, so staff well-being in particular, and the toll, I guess, COVID had taken. So we really escalated our well-being initiatives in that space, and that's really what the report is giving you a bit of in-depth insight into. In terms of catching up, one of the things that we did have to focus on a great deal was health monitoring and picking up where we had 3 months where no health monitoring was undertaken because of the lockdown and WIOC having to catch up, etc. So that actually put us in a bit of a difficult situation because, as you're probably aware, vaccines like hepatitis B, they need to be systematically undertaken over a 3-month cycle, 6-month cycle. So we really had to double up our efforts on that when we came back into work proper. So I think from July through to August, September, we had double sessions right throughout those months, just catching up with that. But otherwise, some great work done by Bev on the contract and management documentation, which has all been signed off and rolled out. And yes, of course, the wellbeing initiatives that we've outlined here for you. So we're taking in that you've hopefully had a read of this and very happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much. Claire.
Thanks, yeah, great report and some wonderful initiatives here for staff wellbeing. The question I have is on the one pager of the lead and lag indicators. Yeah, about the chart about comparison of all the reported events. The line chart. Yeah, because it shows that there's quite a the orange line for August, September, October is going up and up and up. Yeah, what are your comments about that? Because it looks a bit unusual.
So we've been encouraging more reporting. So there had been a lack of reporting. So and this is from a few teams. So there's been a lot of really good work to get those teams doing more reporting. So it's actually a positive to see a high in reporting rather than a negative.
And you'll also probably note there is a lot of concerning behavioural instances or incidents that have occurred, with the library, the front desk. And again, this sort of feeds into our wellbeing initiatives with staff looking after themselves, but also building their own resilience. That is concerning, and we've had to pull in the police on several occasions in here, so not quite sure what's going on in the community.
Yeah, I was actually going to put it to the rest of the councillors whether or not we wanted to do something that was, a nice action for those particular, like staff, like groups. Yeah, I don't know, like bake some afternoon tea or morning tea for something, or a group of the councillors actually go in and go and see them and do something together or something. Like you do see it, like people do a scone you know, bake and take it along and give it to people or something. And yeah.
Look, I absolutely think that would go a very long way. But obviously for health and safety reasons, Bev and I have to do all test tasting. Just, to ensure the safety and well-being of our staff.
You guys just go above and beyond. I mean, I'm just so impressed with your dedication and commitment.
Do you do requests?
No.
Like if the councillors are interested, I thought we should just get a list of the staff groupings that you thought would be good to work with. Obviously, there's a limited number of us, but yeah, and whether or not we could come up with something that we thought would be cool to do with them.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. We'll do.
Yeah, that's a interesting idea. It is actually. It was concerning to see the number of incidents in our public places, library, and the front desk, and so forth. And yeah, I mean, those people they get the raw end sometimes, don't they? Which is not easy.
And I think, as Steph alluded to before, I think there's in the community, COVID has actually kind of changed the way we think and how people are reacting. And there's a lot of people who have had deep concerns over this last 8-9 months. And I think some of this is coming out with some of their behaviours. So absolutely. So, I mean, we need to be mindful of those as well. But hopefully next year that people will be a little bit more settled after having a bit of a break. But yeah, I think we need to be mindful that our community is actually stressed as well.
Susan.
Thank you for your report, ladies. Just a question, and it's really following on from something I heard on national radio the other day. What do you think we have a role to play in terms of encouraging physical movement and activity in our staff? I mean, I know that we've had a focus, I guess, in the public service over the last sort of 9 years. It's largely been on nutrition, but we've completely forgotten about physical activity. And I guess it coincides with us becoming more sedentary as a society and these silly things. And I guess I'm just mindful of if anybody has time, go and have a look. Yesterday I heard Catherine Ryan interview Professor Schofield from the Auckland University of Technology, and he's Professor of Public Health, and he was commenting on World Health Organization's latest updated guidelines about the requirement to have 2.5 hours of moderate to vigorous aerobic activity weekly, and how we used to be considered a really healthy nation in that space, given our great outdoors, but we're actually near the bottom of the list now. And I guess, do we see, obviously we've got a role to play in terms of nutrition, we're obviously encouraging that, I would have thought that physical activity is the next place, and what does that look like for our organisation?
Yes, thank you. Fantastic question. And I think we do have a role to play in ensuring that our staff do have opportunities to move and be active, despite all the technology and the ease of it. This is where the Healthy Food Guide wellbeing platform kicks in as well. So on this platform, there are aerobic exercises. It's not just food and recipes, it's also competitions. There's the opportunity for staff to do internal team, I guess, routines, Pilates, walking, lunchtime sessions. So yeah, a lot of emphasis on physical as well as mental and nutritional. So it's whilst we would love to get everybody out there doing a walking program every lunchtime, this gives them the opportunity to cater to their own physical capabilities, because not everyone wants to run a marathon or wants to get out and do a great deal of physical exercise, but there are easy steps or easy means for them to get into doing something. We also partner with a couple of the gyms in the region who provide a discounted rate to council staff. So again, it's about, I guess, maximising these opportunities and getting it out to all our staff to take an opportunity to do it.
We still have that deal where staff can get e-bikes at a discounted rate? That was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, so look, we through the chair, we've run that a couple of times. Yeah, so we haven't actually got anything happening at the moment. However, yeah, I mean, I'm sure actually if you walked into evolution cycles and either Cambridge or Te Awamutu and mentioned you worked for the district council, yeah, I'm sure they would. Yeah, I'm sure they would give a deal. But yeah, we kind of ran it for 2 years. The second year, the take up was not nearly as great as the first year. So yeah, so we haven't actually organised anything for this time around.
Hey, Lou.
I'd just like to congratulate you very much on the initiative of supporting Habitat New Zealand. I thought that was a really, really spectacular effort. And Meals on Wheels, I'd actually deal with that through the RSA a little bit. So we have some of our members who are actually utilising that service. But I think the great thing is here, you're getting people out of this environment out into another environment. And that does their mental well-being so much good. And it's great sometimes to see people and help other people. And that relates back to your mental well-being. So I really, really want to congratulate you for that initiative. Well done.
Okay. There's no one else. I totally agree with you, Lou. I was going to comment on that myself. I think it's brilliant. And the whole the wellbeing program, I'll be really interested to see, along with everyone else, no doubt, how that progresses. So yeah, thanks for a great report, ladies. And I will go to the recommendation on page 89 and ask for a mover. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Claire. All in favour?
Aye.
Contrary note carried. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, and tab 8 is meeting dates for 2021. So everyone's had a chance to look at these, I guess. Pretty standard fare. It does allow for the 4 monthly forecast reviews. So you'll see 3 dates are pushed out to the end of the month to accommodate that. Yeah, so any comments? No? A mover? Thank you, Graham. Seconder? Thank you, Mike. All in favour?
Aye.
Contrary, no. It is carried.